The night is calm. A soft breeze whispers across the ancient hills of Greece. The stars shine bright, like silver lanterns scattered above. And in this silence, a story begins. It is not just a tale of gods and temples. It is the story of wisdom itself, eternal and unbroken. Long ago, mortals looked to the skies for guidance. They found strength in thunder and hope in the sun. But for wisdom, they turned to one radiant figure. Her name was Athena, the goddess of clarity and thought. She was not the goddess of fire or storm. She was the light that showed the path forward. Her presence was calm, yet unshakable. Her gift was knowledge, not conquest. Her power was insight, not destruction. She gave the olive tree a symbol of peace and life. She raised cities not with force, but with vision. Through her, people learned that wisdom is a guiding flame. It does not fade with time or distance. It burns gently, forever. Tonight, we follow her light. We walk into her stories, one step at a time. This is the eternal light of wisdom. This is Athena. In the beginning, the world was young. The mountains stood tall, and the seas whispered with mystery. Humans gazed at the sky, searching for meaning beyond themselves. They saw fire, storms, and shadows of gods above the clouds. But wisdom was different. It did not roar like thunder. It did not blaze like fire. It arrived like dawn, gentle and quiet, yet unstoppable. The birth of Athena was unlike any tale told before. She came forth radiant, with eyes that saw beyond illusions. Her presence carried calm strength, and her spirit was unshakable. She embodied clarity, the pure flame of thought and reason. Her story begins not in war, but in awakening. The people felt her guidance as if a veil was lifted. Suddenly, choices became clearer, and paths became visible. Athena was wisdom given form, the eternal mind made visible. She was the guardian of thought, the companion of learning. When mortals doubted, her presence inspired new understanding. When darkness pressed in, her light revealed hidden truth. She was not feared for destruction, but revered for vision. Her gift was not to strike down, but to lift up. From her came the spark of innovation and art. From her came courage rooted in understanding, not blind fury. From her came balance, where chaos once ruled. The dawn of wisdom was the dawn of Athena's light. In the myths, she emerges full and complete, without flaw. She stands for knowledge that arrives whole, not broken. She shows that wisdom does not grow from violence, but clarity. Athena's mind became the compass of humanity's first steps. She reminded people that to think is to live. She revealed that to see with reason is to walk free. Her wisdom did not belong to one person or one king. It flowed like a river, touching everyone who sought it. Farmers felt it in the olive tree she offered. Artists felt it in the beauty of form and proportion. Leaders felt it in the laws that guided fairness. Athena's dawn was not loud, yet it was eternal. It was like sunlight that cannot be turned back. Every morning, her spirit was in the rising glow. Every choice guided by thought carried her whisper. Every heart that sought truth carried her fire. The birth of Athena was not a single moment. It was a reminder that wisdom itself is timeless. It is born again whenever a mind awakens. It appears again whenever truth replaces fear. It shines again whenever peace is chosen over pride. This is why the ancients revered her as divine. They saw in her not power to conquer, but power to guide. They saw that she was the light that never fails. And so, the dawn of wisdom was the dawn of Athena. She rose not as a ruler, but as a teacher. She stood not with weapons, but with vision. She promised not riches, but understanding. She brought not fear, but freedom of the mind. Her light remains, endless and eternal. It begins again in every soul that dares to seek. It begins again in every thought that breaks the dark. It begins again tonight, in this story. Athena still lives wherever wisdom is honored. She lives in every quiet choice toward truth. She lives in every hand that builds instead of breaks. She lives in every heart that learns with humility. The dawn of wisdom is never over. It continues forever. And in that endless dawn, Athena still shines. The story of Athens begins with a choice. The land was young, filled with promise, but also with need. Its people looked to the gods for a blessing to guide them. Two mighty deities answered the call of the city. Poseidon, lord of the sea, came first with roaring pride. He struck the ground, and from it rose a salt spring. Its waters rushed, fierce and endless, yet brimming with the sea. He declared his gift a sign of power and dominion. The people watched, amazed by the force of the ocean. But their hearts were uncertain, for salt water could not nourish. Then Athena stepped forward, calm and luminous in her presence. She carried no storm, no thunder, no crashing wave. Instead, she bent low and touched the earth gently. From the soil rose a slender tree, green and full of life. Its leaves shimmered silver beneath the Greek sun. Its fruit was humble, yet rich with sustenance and promise. This was the olive tree, a gift unlike any other. It brought food to the hungry and oil to the lamps. It brought wood for shelter and shade for weary travelers. It was peace and prosperity woven into roots and branches. The people stood silent, then breathed with sudden understanding. They saw that Athena's gift was not just survival. It was a vision of growth, of life enduring through ages. Poseidon's wave was strong, but fleeting in its fury. Athena's tree was gentle, yet lasting in its blessing. The city chose wisely, and it chose Athena. From that moment, the place bore her name, Athens. It became not only a home, but a symbol of wisdom. The olive tree stood as a living reminder of her choice. It taught that true strength does not come from conquest. It taught that endurance and peace outshine violence and pride. Generations passed, yet the tree still grew. It rooted itself deep into the soul of Athens. Its branches reached upward, just as minds reached toward knowledge. Its fruit nourished, just as wisdom nourished thought and spirit. The myth was not only a tale, but a lesson eternal. Athena gave what was needed most, not what dazzled most. Her gift revealed her heart, a goddess of vision, not vanity. She did not seek to overwhelm, but to enlighten. She did not strike with noise, but spoke with meaning. The people flourished beneath the shade of her wisdom. Farmers tended the olive groves with reverence. Merchants carried olive oil across the seas, spreading Athena's blessing. Scholars wrote by the light of lamps, fueled by her tree. And artists carved her figure into stone, grateful for her gift. Athens grew not as a city of war, but of wisdom. It became a beacon where thought and beauty thrived together. Its streets echoed with the voices of philosophers and poets. Its walls held the spirit of fairness and learning. All of it traced back to that moment of choice. The salt spring roared once and vanished into memory. But the olive tree still stood, evergreen and faithful. Athena's victory was not loud, but everlasting. Her wisdom was not forced, but freely embraced. The city bore her name, yet the meaning was larger. Athens was not only a place, it was a promise that wisdom would guide humanity forward. Every olive tree planted was a prayer to her spirit. Every lamp lit with oil was a flame of her light. Every heart that sought peace carried her whisper within. Thus, The myth endures across centuries of change. It reminds us that what is gentle may be most powerful. It reminds us that wisdom, once rooted, can never be lost. And it reminds us that Athena's gift was not for one city. It was for the world, for all time. The tree still grows, and so does her eternal light. The shield of Athena was more than metal and craft. It was called the aegis, but its meaning reached far beyond battle. It was not forged to terrify, but to remind, not to crush, but to protect. Its surface shone like polished bronze under the sun. Yet within its gleam lay a deeper truth. It reflected not just faces, but choices, not just appearances, but intentions. When mortals looked upon it, they saw themselves more clearly. Their fears, their doubts, their hidden desires. The aegis was a mirror of the soul. It revealed that wisdom begins with knowing one's own heart. To carry such a shield was to carry awareness. To stand behind it was to face truth unshaken. Athena held it not to harm, but to teach. Her lesson was simple. Reflection gives strength. The unexamined heart falters, but the honest one endures. Heroes came to her for guidance, trembling with questions. They asked for courage, for direction, for favor in struggle. Athena gave them not brute power, but clarity. She showed them their own thoughts, sharpened into resolve. She lifted the shield, and in its glow they understood that wisdom does not come from outside, but from within. The aegis was a vessel of this timeless truth. It was both armor and teacher, both guardian and guide. It whispered, "Know yourself, and no storm can break you." The people of Athens revered the shield as sacred. Artists carved its likeness into marble and painted it on pottery. Poets sang of its brilliance, not for fear, but for insight. In their eyes, the aegis was not a weapon. It was the shining circle of wisdom itself. It reminded them that even the bravest must pause and reflect, that even the strongest need the light of understanding. And so the shield became a symbol of balance. It balanced courage with thought and strength with restraint. It taught that rushing forward without reflection leads to ruin. But pausing to see truth turns a step into destiny. Athena carried it with calm authority. When she raised it, shadows fell away. When she lowered it, peace returned. Her presence with the shield was both fierce and gentle. Fierce, because truth cannot be denied. Gentle, because truth also heals. The aegis lived not in war, but in wisdom. Its power was the power of clarity unbroken. Its edge was the edge of understanding. Its weight was the weight of honesty carried with pride. Generations told stories of the shield's light. They said it glimmered like the sun on still waters. They said it hummed with the voices of reason itself. They said it reminded mortals of their higher calling, to live with thought, not impulse, to act with vision, not blindness, to seek reflection, not mere reaction. The shield became a metaphor in every household. Parents told children, "Hold your shield of thought." Teachers reminded students, "Look into the shield of reflection." Leaders spoke, "We stand strong because we stand aware." Thus, the aegis was never distant, but always near. It lived in every moment of choice and decision. It lived in every calm breath before a bold step. It lived in every heart that dared to face itself. The shield of Athena was more than protection. It was illumination. It was the gentle circle where wisdom resided. And it endures as long as humanity seeks to know itself. Athena's hand may no longer raise it high, but its light remains, unbroken across the ages. It reminds us now, as it did then. The greatest shield is truth. The greatest power is wisdom. And the greatest victory is to know oneself completely. the ancient world was filled with voices seeking truth. People traveled far, over mountains and seas, to find answers. They gathered at temples, in quiet groves, and at sacred stones. Among them, none was more famous than the Oracle of Delphi. There, the voice of Apollo was said to whisper fate. Kings, warriors, and wanderers came, hoping to hear their future. But wisdom is never a simple gift. The oracle spoke in riddles, layered with mystery and depth. Her words were like rivers, flowing yet twisting through hidden paths. Few could understand their true meaning without guidance. And this is where Athena's presence was felt. For though Apollo gave prophecy, Athena gave interpretation. She taught that listening is more than hearing sound. It is hearing meaning, patience, and silence between words. When mortals rushed to claim easy answers, they faltered. When they listened with reflection, they grew wise. Athena's spirit was in every careful pause before decision. She whispered in the hearts of those who truly sought clarity. Her guidance was not thunder, but a calm, steady light. It reminded seekers that wisdom is not prediction, but perception. The voice of the oracle was a test of the soul. Would you chase certainty or embrace understanding? Would you demand simple words or seek the deeper message? Athena stood beside those who chose reflection over haste. She showed them that wisdom does not shout. It speaks softly, like olive leaves moving in the wind. The people of Greece began to honor this lesson. They built spaces for thought, not only shrines for worship. They learned that silence could be as sacred as prophecy. The oracle's temple became a place of questions, not commands. And Athena's influence grew in the hearts of listeners. For she was the goddess of the inward voice, the quiet reasoning that speaks when noise fades away. The oracle may have given prophecy, but Athena gave vision. Her gift was not telling the future, but shaping the present. For wisdom is not about knowing tomorrow. It is about choosing well today. Her presence turned riddles into guides, confusion into clarity. Her light helped mortals walk through uncertainty with courage. The Oracle of Delphi became a meeting place of gods. Apollo gave the fire of prophecy. Athena gave the light to see it clearly. Together, they revealed that knowledge and wisdom are not the same. One tells what may come. The other teaches how to walk toward it. This balance shaped the spirit of Greece. It shaped the way people saw themselves and their choices. They understood that destiny was not only written, it was also shaped by wisdom in every step. Athena's presence reminded them that prophecy without thought is empty. But thought with clarity can make even mystery a guide. Travelers left Delphi not only with answers, but with insight. They carried Athena's whisper in their hearts as they returned home. It told them, listen deeper, look closer, walk wiser. This was her true gift in the halls of prophecy. The oracle's words faded with time, but the lesson of listening remained eternal. Athena's light still shines wherever silence is honored, where patience becomes understanding, where listening turns into wisdom. And so, the voice of the oracle lives on, not in riddles carved on stone, but in hearts that reflect. It lives in every moment when you pause to understand. It lives in every decision made with thought, not impulse. It lives in every soul that listens for truth. This is the wisdom of Athena through the oracle's voice. It is timeless. It is eternal. And it still calls us to listen today. High upon the Acropolis, a temple of marble touched the sky. It was called the Parthenon, and it was built for Athena. Its columns rose tall, like guardians of stone and harmony. Each pillar was a hymn, carved by human hands in devotion. The people of Athens raised it not only as a shrine, they raised it as a promise to honor wisdom forever. The Parthenon was not a fortress of war. It was a monument of beauty, proportion, and light. When the sun rose, its walls glowed with golden fire. When night fell, the moon wrapped it in silver calm. Inside stood Athena's great statue, shimmering in ivory and gold. Her gaze was steady, her posture filled with quiet strength. She held in one hand a shield, in the other, victory. Yet her presence was not of conquest, but of guidance. People entered the temple with awe and left with reverence. They felt that wisdom was not distant, but near. They saw that greatness could be carved from vision and patience. The Parthenon was more than stone. It was thought made visible. Every line of its design spoke of balance and clarity. Its builders studied proportion, seeking harmony in every detail. Each block lifted was a prayer, each carving a dedication. Together, they created a place where spirit and craft met. Athena's presence filled the air, though she spoke no word. She was in the silence of the marble halls. She was in the rhythm of columns standing side by side. She was in the light that passed through and lingered. The Parthenon became a school of the eye and the mind. It taught that beauty was not decoration, but understanding. That order was not restriction, but freedom. That wisdom could live in stone as well as in thought. Philosophers walked its steps and found inspiration. Artists sketched its lines and found perfection. Travelers gazed upon it and carried stories home. Each told that Athens was more than a city. It was a vision of what humanity could become, a place where wisdom shaped not only laws, but also walls, where truth lived not only in words, but in beauty. The Parthenon stood as a dialogue between mortals and the divine. It reminded all that Athena's gift was not temporary. It was not only in the olive tree, but in creation itself. Every sculpture, every relief was alive with meaning. Scenes of gods and mortals told stories of struggle and learning. But always, Athena's presence was central and enduring. Her wisdom bound the chaos of myth into order. Her light turned marble into eternal poetry. Generations came and went, yet the Parthenon remained. Even in ruin, its voice has never been silenced. Its broken stones still speak of balance and resilience. Its columns still whisper of vision and courage, and its empty halls still glow with memory. The Parthenon was not perfection frozen in time. It was perfection reaching forward, alive in every gaze. It was not just built for the goddess. It was built for humanity, to remind them of their highest selves. For Athena's wisdom was not to be locked away. It was to be lived, shared, and built upon. The temple showed that wisdom is not hidden in shadows. It is found in light, in form and creation. It is found in the courage to build what lasts. And so the Parthenon still stands, scarred yet shining. It tells us that devotion to wisdom endures beyond centuries. That beauty born of thought never truly fades. That Athena's eternal light is carved into its stones, and that as long as we look upon it, we remember. Wisdom is not only learned, it is built, it is lived, it is eternal. And Athena still walks within its timeless columns. In the bustling streets of Athens, voices rose like waves in the sea. Merchants called out their goods, children played, and elders debated. The city was alive, yet within the noise there was a deeper rhythm. It was the rhythm of thought, of words woven into meaning. Here, in this place of constant exchange, philosophy was born. Men and women gathered not in temples, but in open spaces. They asked questions that echoed through time, What is justice? What is truth? Athena's presence was felt in every circle of discussion. She was not seen, but her wisdom guided the search. The Agora, the marketplace, was more than a place to trade goods. It was a place where ideas were traded, tested, and refined. Socrates walked these streets, asking questions that unsettled and inspired. He taught that wisdom begins in admitting we know little. His dialogues were sparks, and Athena's light turned them into flame. Students gathered, some curious, some doubtful, some resistant. Yet all were drawn into the gravity of thought. Athena was there, whispering through questions, urging deeper reflection. Plato carried those whispers into his academy. He dreamed of a world where wisdom guided rulers, not greed. Athena's light filled his vision of a just and balanced city. His words carved a path for generations to follow. Aristotle, his student, carried the flame further. He studied nature, ethics, and reason itself. He believed wisdom was not distant, but woven into daily life. Every step of observation was a prayer to clarity. Athena's eternal light guided his pursuit of understanding. The philosophers did not build temples of marble. They built temples of thought, unshaken by time. Their words became pillars, their questions became arches, and Athena was their silent architect, shaping their search. Wisdom in Athens was not hidden in scrolls alone. It lived in conversation, in the courage to question. It thrived in disagreement, where truth sharpened like a blade. But Athena's wisdom softened that edge into balance. She taught that debate was not for victory, but for growth. The questions were not walls, but doors to new vision. In every gathering, the olive tree stood as a symbol, its roots deep, its branches wide, its fruit nourishing. So too was wisdom, rooted, spreading, and life-giving. The people of Athens carried this into their lives. Fathers taught sons, mothers guided daughters, teachers shaped students. Athena's light moved quietly, but it never dimmed. It reminded them that wisdom is not given once. It is pursued again and again in each generation. Even when the city faced trial, wisdom remained its heart. When storms of conflict shook its walls, thought still endured. Athena's eternal light could not be broken by fear. For philosophy was not luxury, but survival of the spirit. It was the compass when the path grew uncertain. It was the lantern when shadows closed in. Athena's gift was not a single answer, but a way of seeking, a way of walking toward truth without turning away. The philosophers knew this, though they often disagreed. Their unity was not in answers, but in the search. Athena bound them together in that shared devotion. The Agora became a sacred classroom without walls. Every passerby became both teacher and student. Athena's light moved between them like air itself. Unseen, but vital, eternal, and everywhere. And so the wisdom of Athens was born not in silence, but in voices rising, questions clashing, and thoughts unfolding. Athena stood at the center of it all, not as a statue, not as an image, but as a presence. She was the eternal light within the dialogue of humanity, the flame that turned words into wisdom, and the voice that still asks us today, what is truth? What is justice? What is the good life? These questions echo, carried through time, eternal as Athena's light. Far from temples and marble halls, the sea carried ships across the horizon. Sailors looked to the stars for guidance, but prayed for wisdom too. For the sea was vast, unpredictable, both friend and foe. Every voyage was a step into the unknown, a test of spirit. Athena, goddess of wisdom, watched over these daring souls, not as a shield in battle, but as a compass in storms. She whispered through the winds that filled their sails. She steadied their hands when the waves rose high. For wisdom was not only for kings or philosophers. It was for every sailor, farmer, and traveler seeking a path. On deck, the crew told stories of gods and heroes. They spoke of Odysseus, guided by Athena's hand. His journey was long, filled with trials, yet wisdom carried him. For cunning was not deceit, but the art of survival. Athena's light was the lantern on dark waters. It reminded sailors that strength alone could not tame the sea. Only clarity of mind, patience, and careful thought could endure. When storms gathered, captains recalled her lessons. They read the clouds, listened to the waves, trusted their charts. They knew fear, yet they also knew courage born of wisdom. The sea demanded humility, and Athena taught it well. Her gift was not the promise of calm waters. It was the ability to navigate even in chaos. Each port became a place where her presence was honored. Olive branches were laid on decks before voyages began. Prayers rose not for riches, but for safe passage home. Athena's name was carried on the lips of sailors. She was not distant but close, felt in every decision. When trade routes expanded, her influence traveled with them. Merchants carried ideas as well as goods across the world. They brought back not only treasures, but stories and wisdom. Athena's eternal light became a bridge across cultures. It shone in the courage of exploration and exchange. For every voyage was more than movement across water. It was a meeting of minds, a sharing of knowledge. Wisdom, like the sea, was endless and flowing. Athena's presence was in the maps drawn with care, in the stars charted with patience, in the hands of sailors who trusted reason over fear. Her light guided humanity beyond familiar shores. It urged them to look outward, not only inward, to seek new lands, but also new understanding. The sea taught balance between daring and caution. Athena taught balance between knowledge and wisdom. Together, they shaped the journeys that changed history. Generations of sailors carried her lessons. Each wave was both a challenge and a teacher. Each storm a reminder of humility before the vast unknown. Athena's eternal light was not the absence of danger. It was the strength to face it with clarity and resolve. Her presence turned fear into focus, doubt into decision. And every safe harbor reached was a testament to her guidance. The legacy of these voyages was not only discovery, it was the wisdom that grew from leaving and returning. From knowing the world is wide, yet connected. From learning that courage without wisdom is reckless. But wisdom with courage creates progress. Athena's light still shines on sailors who look to the stars. It shines on travelers who seek not only places, but purpose. It shines on every journey into the unknown. For the sea is endless, and so is wisdom. And Athena's eternal light sails with us still. In the quiet of olive groves, the air carried the scent of earth and leaves. Farmers bent to the soil, their hands steady, their hearts patient. They knew that the land required not force, but understanding. For every seed held a secret, and wisdom was needed to unlock it. Athena's gift to humanity was not only in temples and words, it was in the olive tree, steadfast and eternal. Its roots dug deep, anchoring to the earth with strength. Its branches reached high, offering fruit and shade alike. The olive tree became more than food. It became a symbol. It taught endurance, resilience, and the quiet power of patience. Athena's eternal light shone through its leaves, silver in the sun. Every harvest was not just labor, but a lesson. The farmers learned that wisdom grows slowly, season by season. that true growth cannot be rushed, nor wisdom forced. The olive tree stood through storms and droughts, yet endured. It became the heart of villages, the mark of peace. Branches were carried as signs of truce, as offerings of unity. Even in conflict, people looked to the olive as hope. Athena's wisdom turned simple fruit into sacred meaning. Oil from the olive was used in lamps that burned through the night. It was light drawn from the patience of the earth itself. Every flame flickered with the presence of the goddess. She reminded them that wisdom, like oil, illuminates the path. It is pressed from effort, from endurance, from care. The people of Greece honored her not only in marble. They honored her in every olive branch planted and nurtured. For to plant a tree was to believe in tomorrow. It was to trust that patience brings life and abundance. Athena's eternal light guided their hands as they worked the soil. Her voice was in the rustle of olive leaves in the wind. It told them, wisdom is not loud, but lasting. Not fleeting, but rooted. Not a single act, but a lifetime of care. The farmers carried this truth into their lives. They raised families with the same patience as tending crops. They taught children that wisdom grows like a tree, slow, steady, and strong with time. The olive groves became classrooms of the earth. Each season, lessons unfolded in silence and growth. Spring spoke of renewal, summer of abundance, autumn of gratitude, winter of endurance. Athena's wisdom was written in the cycle of the land. It was lived in the hands that tilled, harvested, and gave thanks. Even in festivals, the olive played its sacred part. Wreaths crowned victors, oil anointed the sacred fires. Every gesture tied back to the eternal light of Athena. The goddess was not distant, but close, present in daily life. She was in the bread shared at tables, in the oil burning at dusk. She was in the peace offered with branches of silver green. Athena's gift of the olive tree was not small. It was a reminder that wisdom is nourishment. It feeds the body, enlightens the mind, and unites communities. The grove stood as living temples under the open sky. Each tree a column, each leaf a prayer to patience. The people knew the truth. Marble may crack, but olive trees endure. They carry the memory of generations, the promise of life. Athena's eternal light was woven into their roots, and every harvest was an act of gratitude to her wisdom. The olive tree still stands as her living gift, a bridge between earth and heaven, human and divine. And in every branch, her eternal wisdom shines. In the heart of Athens, the Agora pulsed with life and voices. Merchants called out their wares, philosophers gathered in circles. The air was thick with debate, trade, and the hum of ideas. It was more than a marketplace. It was a meeting of minds. Here, Athena's eternal light burned bright in conversation. Wisdom was not locked away in scrolls or temples. It lived in the streets, in the questions people dared to ask. The Agora was the birthplace of dialogue, of learning together. Socrates walked among the crowds, asking questions without answers. He believed wisdom began in admitting what one did not know. Athena's spirit guided this humility, this hunger for truth. She was present in every pause, every thoughtful silence. The philosophers did not worship her with ritual alone. They honored her in their relentless pursuit of understanding. Plato spoke of ideals, shadows, and the light of truth. Aristotle mapped the patterns of nature, searching for order. Each thinker carried Athena's torch into new realms of thought. The marketplace itself became a school without walls or gates. Anyone could listen, challenge, and learn if they wished. Ideas were exchanged like coins, valuable and lasting. Athena's wisdom flowed not from authority, but from dialogue. It taught that truth is discovered, not dictated. That questions are as sacred as answers. The Agora was a living testament to her gift. Here, democracy and philosophy grew side by side. Citizens debated laws with the same passion as ideas. Athena's eternal light was seen in this balance. For wisdom guided freedom, and freedom nurtured wisdom. Without it, laws would be empty, and voices silenced. With it, every citizen had a role in shaping destiny. The olive wreath crowned victors in games of body and mind. Athena's presence reminded them that strength must serve justice, that brilliance must serve truth. Her wisdom was not for the few, but for all who sought it. In the Agora, a child could watch and learn. A stranger could share their story and be heard. Athena's light shone in the equality of exchange. No one voice was greater than the chorus of many. The Agora also echoed with art, poetry, and music. Every word and melody was an offering to wisdom. Athena inspired not only logic, but creativity. For wisdom is as much beauty as it is truth. The stones of the Agora held countless footsteps of seekers, each step a reminder that learning is endless. Athena's eternal light did not end in Greece. It traveled with scrolls, carried by teachers to distant lands. It seeded academies, libraries, and schools across the world. The marketplace spirit lived on wherever ideas met. Athena's wisdom was not bound by walls or time. It was a living flame, passed from mind to mind. Her eternal light still shines in classrooms, parliaments, and homes. Whenever people gather to share, question, and seek truth. Her presence is felt in dialogue, in reasoned debate, in the courage to speak and the humility to listen. The Agora stands eternal, even when its stones are gone. It lives in the practice of wisdom shared openly. Athena's gift was not silence, but conversation. Not answers, but the courage to keep asking. And in every question lies her eternal light. Beneath the shadow of the Acropolis, artisans shaped stone and clay. Their hands carved temples, painted vases, and forged works of beauty. Each piece was more than art. It was a vessel of meaning. For Athena's eternal light shone not only in wisdom, but in craft. She was the goddess of skill, of hands guided by thought. Every stroke of the chisel was a prayer to precision. Every brush upon pottery a hymn to memory and story. Athena's gift was the union of mind and hand, thought and action. The Parthenon rose as the crown of Athens, built in her honor. Its columns reached skyward, balanced with grace and strength. Each stone carried the touch of countless unnamed hands. They labored not for themselves alone, but for a legacy. Athena's light guided their patience, their devotion to detail. For wisdom was not only in words, but in creation. To build was to make thought visible, to make ideals tangible. The artisans told stories on vases, painted in black and red. Scenes of gods, heroes, and mortals filled their curved surfaces. Each figure taught lessons, warnings, or celebrations of life. Athena's presence was there too, quiet yet unmistakable. She reminded them that beauty must carry truth, not vanity. That art must preserve wisdom, not just decorate walls. In the flicker of lamplight, these works came alive. They spoke silently to those who paused to look closer. A carved shield reminded of courage, tempered with caution. A woven cloth told of patience, threads bound like fate. Athena's eternal light was stitched into these works of hand. She was in the discipline required to master craft, in the humility to learn, to fail, to begin again. Every mistake was a lesson, every success a gift. The city itself became a canvas for her wisdom. streets lined with statues, homes filled with pottery and woven art. Children grew up surrounded by symbols of Athena's gifts. They learned that creation was sacred, a dialogue with the divine. Even the tools, chisels, looms, brushes, were honored as sacred, for they were bridges between thought and form. Athena's eternal light was a spark in every creator's soul. It urged them to see beyond the surface, into meaning, to shape not only what is beautiful, but what endures. The Parthenon's marble shone beneath the Athenian sun. It was not only a temple, but a message in stone. It spoke of wisdom guiding power, of beauty born of thought. Generations would gaze upon it and feel her presence. Even when centuries weathered its walls, its message remained. Athena's wisdom taught that true art transcends time, that what is made with care becomes eternal. The artisans of Athens became her silent philosophers. They spoke not with words, but with shapes and colors. Every amphora, every statue, every woven cloth was a text. Athena's eternal light was written in their lines and forms, and their works traveled across seas, carried by merchants. They reached lands far beyond Greece, carrying wisdom in silence. Athena's influence spread not through conquest, but through creation, through the beauty and wisdom etched into every artifact. Today, when we stand before these ancient works, we still feel it. The patience of hands long gone, the guidance of a goddess. Athena's eternal light shines in their endurance, their meaning. It tells us that art is not decoration, but dialogue, that every creation is a bridge between mortal and divine, and in every crafted work, her eternal wisdom lives. The story of Athena's eternal light is not bound to temples or time. It is a flame carried through the ages, living in human hearts. Her wisdom is not a relic of stone, but a guide for today. She whispers still, not in thunder, but in quiet clarity, in choices made with care, in words spoken with truth, in acts of courage tempered by thought, not pride. Athena's presence endures wherever minds seek understanding. In classrooms where children ask their first questions, in libraries where countless voices meet across centuries, in communities that choose dialogue over division. Her eternal light burns in every pursuit of knowledge. It shines in the patient work of scientists and thinkers, in the hands of artists who shape meaning into form, in the leaders who place justice above ambition. Her wisdom reminds us that true power serves, not rules, that freedom without thought is fragile, and thought without action is hollow. Athena's lesson is that wisdom belongs to all, not the few. It grows in dialogue, in patience, in the courage to listen. The olive branch still speaks of peace across the world. Its silver leaves whisper of endurance, humility, and hope. The Parthenon, though weathered, still rises against the sky. Its stones echo the devotion of countless hands and minds. They remind us that creation rooted in wisdom outlasts centuries, that beauty shaped with care becomes eternal testimony. Athena's light is not just Greece's heritage, but humanity's. It is the compass guiding us through storms of uncertainty, the lantern that burns when shadows of doubt grow long. It teaches that every question is sacred, every voice matters, that wisdom is not found in isolation, but in sharing. Her eternal flame burns in the quiet resolve of teachers, in the determined steps of explorers seeking new horizons, in the calm strength of those who stand for truth. Even now, her gift is alive in every choice we make. When we choose patience over haste, clarity over confusion, when we plant trees whose shade we may never sit under, when we light candles of knowledge for generations to come, Athena's wisdom is not a myth, but a living inheritance. It flows through history like a river, feeding minds and hearts. It calls us to seek, to question, to create with purpose, to understand that wisdom is not the end, but the path. The eternal light is not distant. It is within us all. It glows when we dare to learn, to grow, to share. It strengthens when we balance courage with humility. It shines brightest when carried forward together. The goddess of wisdom still walks beside humanity, not as a figure of marble, but as a voice in silence. A reminder that knowledge without wisdom is dangerous, that wisdom without compassion is incomplete. Her light is the bridge between mind and heart, between past and future, mortal and divine. It is eternal because it is needed, always and everywhere. As we close this journey, her presence lingers. The olive tree still grows. The Parthenon still stands. The sea still carries ships guided by stars and thought. And Athena's eternal light still burns within each of us. It asks only that we carry it forward, that we keep seeking, keep questioning, keep creating. For wisdom is not a treasure to keep, but a flame to share. And as long as it shines, the world will never be dark.